goes down. We're crunching the numbers, calling the plays, talking all sports in a big time way. Yeah, yeah. Spreadsheet Sports.
Welcome back to Spreadsheet Sports. It is Saturday, 3/29. First two games of the Elite Eight, and it's going to be an interesting day. Um, you would think that yesterday was going to be interesting as well as Thursday, but on the contrary, when you go back and look at all the data, the teams that were favored to win by the books, all of them won. There were no underdogs that won. Crazy, right? Everybody's models were all over the place and they were thinking this and thinking that, and I was right along with them. We were wrong. You see how easy that was? We were wrong. We don't have all the answers. It's so much easier when you admit to being wrong than it is to just continuing to keep up with your charades. Um, but here we are. It is now the 29th, first two games of Elite Eight. And let's see what we got today. Let's start at the very beginning. Thank you guys for coming to the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know you could have been anywhere else, but you're here, listening or watching or both, and screenshotting the data. Knock yourself out, have fun. But definitely, like I said, thank you for coming to the show. I hope I have some value for you today. I prepared just really something simple. It's not a long video today because we only got two games. I was going to do all four games in this video, but I'm going to do those other two, and post them later on today. And that way you'll have it for tomorrow. I'm not going to do any filming tomorrow, but, um, in these two games, I want to talk about like what we may be looking at and maybe possibly see where there's some room for some opportunity for some different types of bets. But let's just dive into it. And like where I always like to start, I like to show you my record. That way you can see where I'm at. I made a lot of mistakes on yesterday. I made a lot of mistakes on the day before. I had some wins too, but I'm not going to like sugarcoat that and try to paint a picture to make myself look like something I'm not, right? I hate liars. Um, but let's dive into it. Let's look at my record. And after we do that, we'll look at the trends of the market. And then we'll talk about who's left in regards to the coaching and the teams that are left. And then we'll dive into the games, wrap it up. And then we can get to doing what we do best, which is either going to be doing some more research for betting, or we'll be trying to figure out which game we're actually going to watch. Or some of you are going to watch both. Some of you guys have some teams that are still in it. And that's great. If you do, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for everybody that got a team that's still in it. I don't have a team in basketball, so I don't have a team in pro or college. You might as well say BYU kind of became my team. I was rooting for them, and I was so disappointed in their performance, man. I knew they were going to do better than that. I'm going to talk about that when I get to the Alabama Duke game. Man, Duke, I want Duke to beat Alabama now because of what they did to BYU, to be honest. But I'm gonna still call the game how I see it. But I just got to be honest. But um, man, what do you do with that? Like, do you make adjustments to your models? No. I was talking to another guy that is in the same industry with me, and he as an analyst, and we were talking about it, and it was like, yeah, it sucked, but I'm not gonna change my metrics and my models, none of the formulas for that, just because of that anomaly. Like, they're not doing that every night. That's not who they are. That's not what they do. You can look at the data and the law averages. That's not what they do. They had a amazing game. This is not taking anything away from them, but it's just not one of those scenarios where you're like, oh, this is where it's going. I did see a lot of teams that all were literally trying to push the three and do the three, but man, it got to a point they were making so many 3-pointers that they were like throwing it behind the back. And then when they threw it behind the back, they literally were like, yeah, you try it too. Everybody was trying threes. They weren't shooting threes. They were trying and they were dropping. It's crazy. Point guard had an amazing game. It was just like, how do you keep up with that? It was simple math: 3 points, 2 points, 3 points, 2 points. At some point, it's like I gotta stop them or I gotta do something to turn this around. But it was nuts. But anyway, let's dive in and let's see what we got for today's show. I hope you guys enjoy. But let's get started. My data and my records, right, is it's starting to trend in the right direction, which kind of sucks because it's the end of the season, but it is what it is. I mean, if anything, I'm thankful and I'm optimistic about what next season looks like and giving me a much better starting point for next year as we close this out because this is all going to be relevant data. Same thing in regards to the winning trends and the underdog trends. All of that's going to be relevant and it'll help with identifying trends that are possible for it to be there. But as it is, right now I'm averaging in all bets 61%, 58% in money line, 63% in spreads, 69% in points, and then 61% in total bets. Yesterday's performance went as so. Um, we'll say yesterday and Thursday because these are combined. So Thursday and Friday, um, what I came up with was 72% on the total bets, and I got 100% of my money lines. Good job, T Black. Celebrate your wins, because I sucked horribly on spreads, right? I sucked horribly on spreads yesterday after having 2 good days of spreads. And then I bomb on spreads. Like I gotta go back in the lab for spread evaluations for tonight's game and tomorrow, but I sucked. Um and I identified what I got wrong when I was doing my own homework on myself, and I know what I did wrong, but it's all good. Tonight's gonna be great. We're gonna speak that into the universe, into evolution, right? Um did pretty good with points, though. Take my win and take my lap on that. I'm happy with my points bet. Bombed in total points after having such a good run with total bets. I was on something, man. Um, I was like, I'm on covers.com, right? And I remember yesterday when I made my bet, this guy, I'm gonna call him an idiot. I'm not even gonna call him a guy. This idiot I'm talking to about the game, and he has a flag on his profile that says UK. So he's obviously for Kentucky. And I had took a bet that didn't hit. Again, I'm not lying, right? I'm telling you the truth. And on that bet, it didn't hit, and it was for plus 7.5 for Kentucky, and both teams to go over 67 or 68, right? And he came on there saying something like, um, yeah. You think that they can score in that building? Like it's a football stadium type event? I was like, what the hell are you talking about? What does that got to do with this rubber basketball or leather basketball going into a metal rim with people wearing sneakers and shorts? Like, what are you talking about? Some superstitious type shit? I don't know what it was. But anyway, it was like, what is this guy talking about? And then somebody else came on there with the same thing about this whole thing of well, Lucas Oil Field and blah blah blah. Like, yo, both teams are on the road, you dummies. Like the win loss ratio is the win loss ratio. They're on the road. What the hell are y'all talking about? But it's always some dummies involved in this. It's just like I'm dealing with facts. You're dealing with something else, and I don't even know what it is. And it was just like, you idiot, right? And even after that, I explained to this guy after I made the bet, and he's like, after he did that, my rebuttal was basically telling him why I thought X, Y, and Z about the game, right? And I was telling him, like, I think that the points are going to be this because of the defensive rebounds and the fast break conversion. Like all facts. His rebuttal had nothing to do with supporting why he felt the way he did. It's just spewing nonsense. Like at least back it up with something. Like tell me why you think it's hard to score in that building. Give me some data about all of the points that have been accumulated in that building in the last 10 years or something other than that. And then this dummy comes back at the very end and he quotes my response and says, I'm not sure I can respond to this with all of these grammatical errors. I'm like, are you serious? Like my day job is dealing with CEOs, business owners, title companies, lawyers, financial advice, all of this other stuff. You think they would talk to me if I had grammatical error? Do you really, dummy? It just blew my mind, man. It's dummies everywhere. Is all I can think. And but anyway, that's the record. The record speaks for itself. I mean, overall, like even when I look at like how long I've been like just showing you guys this right now, like in total, those numbers that you see on the right hand side and what they represent is a total of 261 bets that I've made. Out of those 261 bets that I've made, I have won 170 of those 261 bets. That's how you get the numbers that I'm showing you, right? And out of 62 money line bets, I have won 37 of those. Out of 75 spread bets, I've won 45 of those. Out of 63 of the points bets, I've won 47 of those. Out of 61 of the total bets, I've won 39 of those. So like I'm tracking everything, not the pound on my chest for anybody, but it's really about being able to hit the rewind button and really like understand what how you're doing what's good and how you're doing what's bad and how to correct it. If you don't do that, there's no way you really can move forward, right? You can't get in your feelings. You have to be very objective and brutally objective and fair with yourself about what are you doing? Are you doing it the right way? All of the above. So like just think of it that way. But anyway, just wanted to share this with you guys. That's my journey in regards to how my selections are panning out. Had some ups and some downs in all areas. You make the adjustments and you move forward. But let's look at the trends and let's see how the marketplace is looking right now in regards to the winners and the dogs. Our winners and our dogs, like they're starting to have a little bit of movement. Not a whole lot for the winners, but definitely for the dogs. Like the things that I'm identifying with them is um a multitude of things, right? Like what really sticks out to me the most when it comes to the winners is that right now the movement I'm seeing is really just dealing with like the win loss ratio on the road. Like those that win on the road better are winning, which makes sense. Everything else is the same, right? Everything else is the same. Like literally, the teams that are winning are doing 22 defensive rebounds or more. The teams that are winning are have an advantage of -2% or more on the difference on defensive rebounds of the two teams. 66% or more for the win loss ratio on the road. Projection of points is around 77. The fast break is around 10 points or more for the winners, and 71% DR and 65% for average projection from the data. If you find any games or any teams that identify with those KPIs, those metrics, then more than likely they're going to have a great game and be your winner. Now, on the other side of that, what you see is the market trends for the dogs is definitely kind of a little bit all over the place and it's a little bit more sporadic to the point that like even when you look at like what's doing better, the defensive rebound difference is what's really changing here. The demand for a dog to win has to be a team that can out rebound the other team on defense. If they're an underdog and they can come in and have that type of game plan, they have a chance to win. They also need to make sure that they are doing some other things like getting at least 23 defensive rebounds, at least 3% difference or better for the difference of defensive rebounds between them and the other team. They need to be at least going to score projectedly 73 points and at least 10 points on the fast break. And they need to be converting at least 44% of their fast breaks. If they can do that, then that clearly shows in this chart what the trends are for what your dogs are doing when it comes to how are they winning when they win. But here's the thing. We didn't have any dogs that won for the Sweet 16. But what we did have is we did have some dogs that did cover the plus spread. So this data from the last 2 days is for those individuals that covered at least covered the plus spread because they did better than what the books thought that they would. So I still consider them a dog. So that's how I literally um, looked at that data. But the trend is a trend. It's moving in the way that it's moving. All you can really do is identify which way the wind is moving. You can't control the wind. The wind is just going to do what the wind does. But I always think this is interesting to look at, kind of like a nerd data, but I'm kind of nerdy at times, so that's cool. But this is what I got. Let me know if you guys, what you think about the market trends and if you think it even matters. But I do, and it seems to be consistent. The coaches that are left in this Elite Eight round that we have here are as follows, right? You got Izzo, Barnes, Sampson, Pearl, Oates, McCaslin, Shire, and Golden. Okay. And with that being said, I'm just honestly not sure where we go from here. Um, because you kind of are like, you don't want to count out Izzo, right? Like, who wants to do that, right? And you definitely can't count out Barnes. Yeah, I'm not even going to say everybody's name that's on here. I'm going to be honest, like, all 8 of these coaches are not to be played with, except for Duke's coach because of his tenure, his small amount of tenure, right? And if you really wanted to dive a little bit deeper, then you also want to make sure that you are acknowledging that, you know, tenure matters, but the team you have, the machine, is just as important as the person that is the captain of the ship, right? And Mr. Golden for Florida, he's still young with his tenure along with McCaslin, but they proved that they can win. And they're winning at a high level. They're the Elite Eight status. Like, it is what it is. They're here. And they're here for a reason. They're not here by mistake. They won the games that they won to position themselves to be right here, right now. Deal with it. Right? These are the teams. This is just what we got. But I do see where some matchups could be quite interesting if we really look at it, through a magnifying glass. But let's look at how the teams are looking in regards to who's left as well. For your teams that are left, and in this order, Duke, Florida, Auburn, um, those are my top 3 teams right now, like in regards to that. I mean, you could put Texas Tech in that as well, but I guess I should be putting Alabama in that top 3 or top 4, right? Because of the performance that they had, right? We're going to look at that through a magnifying glass, but I mean, this is what I got in regards to like top 3, top whatever you want to call it, top 4, and all of the above. Like, contenders are contenders. And this is what we got right now. And who can beat Duke is still the $1 billion question. Um, I'd love to know who you guys think can beat Duke. Like, is it Auburn? Is it Alabama? I mean, they play in Alabama. Do you think that Florida could get them if they had to see them? Do you think Houston could beat Duke? Michigan State, Izzo, like if these people had to play, do you think that they could do this? Could Tennessee do it? I don't know. I don't know. To be quite honest with you, like tough squad, tough squad. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to like production of the team, it's Duke, Florida, Auburn, Texas Tech, Tennessee, Alabama, Michigan State, Houston. That's just the data, right? Argue with yourself. To be honest, because like Tennessee and Alabama are good, but on paper, Texas Tech is proving them to be wrong. Auburn is good, but on paper, Florida's better than them. And after that performance I saw out of Auburn, to be honest, I mean, we're gonna look at the box scores when we look at the games, but out of that performance I saw, I'm just not sure about Auburn no more. I thought Auburn would be the team that possibly could give Duke a run for their money, but after that performance, nope. And to be honest, after I saw Purdue against I saw the game with Purdue against Purdue against uh, Houston. And I thought Houston was those guys. And I've had other people telling me Houston are those guys, right? But problem is they had trouble with Purdue. Like trouble. It was like I think 40 something seconds left. Purdue dropped a 3-pointer out of the corner of the down at the corner of the box, yo. The bottom of the TV screen, cold blooded. That thing hit all net. That guy was so confident about that shot. It was right when they needed it, and they tied it back up. Houston almost lost that game. It's a great game. But to be the killers and the thriller in the Manila, I didn't see that. I saw somebody holding on by dear life. That wasn't the game I saw Alabama. Alabama looked like some mercenaries. Duke looked like some mercenaries. Like these guys were some snipers. Like this is like, what do you do with them? What do you do with them? They were phenomenal. Their production was amazing. So production is production. Coaches are coaches, but let's see how they all stack up with who we got left with the combination of both. When you look at like the combination of everything, right? The ranking I have left is going to be Duke, Auburn, Houston, Tennessee, Alabama, Michigan State, Florida, and Texas Tech. Right? That's putting the performance of the coach and the performance of the team together and ranking that accordingly. And this is what I got in regard to who's left. Duke is still on top. Auburn is right underneath them. But again, that's just what the data says. I'm subjected to executive override that they literally are not what I thought they were. And Houston isn't either. I think Auburn will be scorched against Duke. I got a homeboy that's been waiting on me to say that out loud. Um, we have a personal bet among each other about Duke and Auburn, but that's cool. I'm still betting on Auburn. If Auburn plays Duke, I'm still betting on Auburn. Just because, just because, and it's just like maybe it happens. I don't know, but as far as we're looking at it right now, Duke is the team to beat, and good luck. Nobody else other than Alabama's performance, which is an anomaly. And BYU is a good team. I would say BYU won the battle but lost the war. If it wouldn't have been all of those 3-pointers, and I'm not trying to Monday morning quarterback it, but had it not been all those 3-pointers, Alabama may not have won that game because that's really all they had. I didn't see a lot of in the paint action. It was really all about let's all like throw up a 3-pointer. And for some reason, it was like I had a magnet inside the ball for the rim. And that magnet just didn't work for BYU. Like that, somebody in the booth turned it off or something. It was crazy. But this is what I got in regards to the rankings of the teams and the coaches together. Um, and I'm using this as my Bible. This is just literally what it's going to be for me in regards to forecasting. But let's look at the two games and wrap this thing up. All right, so 6:09, we got Texas Tech with Florida. Before I talk to you about the matchup, let's talk about what they did right in their most recent game, and use that as a baseline in comparison to like the law averages of what they normally do in the season, right? Um, Florida 30 for 60, Texas Tech 34 to 80, 34 for 83. All right. So in a matchup, you would think that Texas Tech wins just off of their ability to do more than to make more shots. So that kind of is like already screaming out Texas Tech if we're going off of the previous box scores, right? And then we're going to overlay that with the actual game that we're looking at, right? Then when you go to 3 pointers, Florida wins that. Florida had more threes than Texas Tech did in their performance in their previous game. So now Florida wins. So they kind of 1 for 1. Free throws, 16 versus 9. So now we're 2 for 1, Florida, right? Assist. They move the ball around better. 3 for 1 for Florida. Total rebounds, 38. Total rebounds, Texas Tech, 45, right? 12 defensive rebounds versus 20. Texas Tech wins that. So it's Florida all day in regards to the performance that was given out in their most recent game, right? But then now let's look at that as an overlay to the actual game matchup, right? So let me start at um, the coaching, right? When you look at the coaching rank, it's going to be a scenario where like um, who's better in that aspect? Let's look at it. So we got Texas Tech with a number 8 coach. Florida is a number 16 coach, right? The team though for Florida is much better than Texas Tech. Not much better, but 7 over 9, right? So there's that. Florida checks off all the boxes in regards to performance. They got all the categories. Even when it comes down to the fast break, they getting that Florida's putting up 17 fast break points on the average versus Texas Tech putting up 11. 75% of their fast breaks, Florida converts. The Gators are a problem with that. 55% of their fast break, is that much better in regards to a difference in regards to fast breaks. Well, not fast breaks, but just the points, right? They do 55% better on fast break points than Texas Tech, and then fast break point conversion is only 48% for Texas Tech, but it's still close to 50, so it's not bad, but it's just not better than Florida. Um, Texas Tech does do more defensive rebounds, but not by a whole lot. It's almost like really the same, just maybe a point percentage a little bit higher. So that's not that much of a dominating factor. But Texas Tech does have on its side defensive point ranking. They're number 53 in defensive point ranking versus Florida that's a number 90. Both teams are dealing with some injuries. It'll be interesting to see how that unfolds because we want to see like game time decisions, what that's going to look like. And even when you're looking at like the injuries, you got Chance McMillan that's giving up 14 points, and if he's not in the game, I think that's going to definitely cripple Texas Tech, especially with them kind of not being able to perform at the same level as Florida. Condon is a forward giving you 11 points, right? But both of the lead scorers, you got JT Toppin and Walter Clayton. Both of them are giving you 18 points, except one's a forward, one's a guard. Um, Not really a big difference, right? The data, the math and the science of it says that Florida wins 71%, 61%, 52%. That's where they're telling you you should go. They're saying that there's not a chance in hell that um Texas Tech wins this game. Remember, the favorites, all of the favorites by the bookies on yesterday and on Thursday, those are the ones that hit. There were no underdogs. Will there be any underdogs that win today or tomorrow? I don't know. I'm just reviewing the game for you, telling you what I think based off of everything. But based off of the previous performance and based off of this matchup, even with the injuries, I would go with Florida. I would go with Florida. Really, the only thing I see that would be the advantage between Texas Tech and Florida would be the coaching. Texas Tech coaching is really the only thing that saves them. But if they don't really activate the coaching part, I just don't know how the X's and O's being drawn up have to be like on steroids in order for them to survive this game. But the chess masters are going to have to move the pieces on the board. Um, and we'll see what happens. But that's what I got for this game. Like I said, it's going to be competitive. Texas Tech is not going to go anywhere. You might want to look into the plus spread maybe because they'll fight to the very end. I don't think they're going to get blown out. They're going to fight. I would take the plus 6.5. I would even look at maybe 8.5 if it's paying something decent and add it to some points. Maybe even 70 points for Texas Tech and also plus 8.5 or plus 7.5 on the spread. I mean, I actually think it's risky to do minus 6.5 for Florida. My opinion. I'm not saying what I'm saying makes sense. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I'm just leery about going with Florida for 6.5. I'll take Texas to cover the plus 6.5. Money line, it's minus 295. That's not paying any money. So I wouldn't even touch that. Over under, I like it for over. Just because of the competitive nature, I think because Texas Tech gonna be fighting for their life and they're kind of the underdog, or they really are the underdog in this. I see them like responding with scores, especially with them doing well on the defensive rebound. If they can convert their fast break conversions from the defensive rebound, stay competitive. I definitely would go over on this game. But that's all I got on this game. Let's dive into the next one and let's see what that one looks like. Alabama and Duke. Alabama and Duke. Let's do the same way we did the previous game. Let's look at the box scores for the previous game. Okay. Duke scored. They got 33 field goals versus Alabama getting 35. So Alabama wins that particular ordeal. And mind you, both of these teams scored over 100 points in their last game. Over 100. Like not 101, like over 100. That's crazy in college, right? Duke got 11 3-pointers. Alabama got 25. I was just telling somebody this. I was like, yo, if Alabama can just get 15 to 17 threes, they got a really good chance of winning this game. I'm kind of talking myself into an upset alert. If Alabama can score 17 3-pointers, I don't care who make it, Sears or whoever it is, but if they can do that, we got ourselves a different scenario. Because Mark Sears and Cooper Flag both are bringing you 19 points a game or more, right? Give or take. Um, that's a player prop for you guys that are into that. Alabama does have an injury. They got a guard, Latrell Wrightsell, which really don't matter because the other guy I forgot his name, he was making 3-pointers as well. But that's what you're looking at. For free throws, you got like 23 free throws for Duke, and you got 18 for Alabama. So Duke wins that if they get Alabama. If Alabama gets them in the foul at the foul line, that's going to be extra points for Duke. When it comes to the assists, Alabama's moving the ball around more, like from that last game. So they're going to have to literally do that. But let's be honest, Duke got like 2 7-footers, man, in the paint. This is why I can't really go all the way in and be like, they're gonna have all these threes and they're gonna do X, Y, and Z. It's hard to tell that, mainly because like with those guys in the paint under the rim like that, I don't know that you can miss. You can't miss because if you miss, you're not getting the rebound. You're not getting the defensive rebound. You're also not getting the offensive rebound. Like, good luck on that. The only strategy they really got would be Alabama's going to have to figure out a way to foul one of these guys out. If they can get one of the guys out with like 5 to 7 minutes and kind of stay in the game and stay close within 5 to 7 points behind Duke, if Duke gets out of hand, which they can, if they can do that, right, then I see a scenario where Alabama can win. Will that be the game we see? I don't know. I haven't made my ticket yet, but I'm about to dive in and do that. But I mean, that's what you got going on. If Alabama can move the ball around like that, then yeah, that might be what you see. I mean, even when it comes to rebounds, Alabama is out rebound. They out rebound BYU. I don't know that they can out rebound Duke, right? 7 offensive rebounds, and 10 offensive rebounds for Alabama. That was 25 defensive rebounds, right? And 21 defensive rebounds for Duke. We got ourselves a ball game here. This thing is going to be exciting and electric. I hope Alabama can do what they just did the other day and they can 17 to 23s. If they get 15 to 17, I think that they still can win this game and just do what they do. Sears is a pretty good point guard, but you got the 2 7-footers and you got Cooper Flag on the other side with Duke, man. These guys are amazing. And on top of that, um, they just do things very well. They do things very well. What do you do with that? What do you do with that? Like, they're both kind of like number one teams in their own rights, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just going to be a great game to watch. Um, all the categories aren't covered by one team. Like, even when you break down the matchup, you got Alabama taking advantage of the offensive points over Duke in regards to that and the ranking. And Duke is taking over the defense. So you got a number one ranked offensive team or number one offensive point team versus a number 6 defensive ranked team. And then with that being said, you got Alabama getting more rebounds. That's just what they do, right? On the law averages for the whole season. They both do about the same amount in assists. So that's not really a scenario where they like overdoing it. They're both doing about the same amount of 3-point attempts on a regular day. On a regular day, not that what we saw from the other day from Alabama. And then when it comes to making 3-pointers, both of them are around the same 35, 38%. Not a big deal there. The data says that it's Duke all day long. You gotta be a psycho to try to jump off the bridge and say, I'm going with Alabama. Like I don't know anybody that's sticking their chest out and doing it. I know a couple people that's gonna take Alabama, right? They're gonna put some serious money on Alabama to win, and I understand why, but they ain't saying it out loud. And I find me somebody that says it, that's saying it out loud that Duke is gonna lose because they're scared of looking like an idiot. Who wants to eat that egg on their face when Duke wins the game, right? I will say this. Alabama has a chance. They could win. I'm not saying that they will. Based off of what we see from the performance they just had and what they do on the normal, Alabama can win. Will they? I don't know. I'm about this close to jumping off the porch and taking Alabama. Money line, not even playing around with it on the spread. But even if I took the spread, it's still an insurance bet because it's 6.5. Why wouldn't I take that? Why wouldn't I take that? I wouldn't even buy that up to 7.5. I'll take the 6.5 because I think this is going to be a buzzer beater or right at the end. I might even buy it down to 3 and get real risky and buy it down to 3 or 2 so that the spread for Alabama is also plus cheese. That's how confident I am in Alabama being able to perform. The only thing I'm worried about for Alabama is rebounds. I don't know if they're going to be able to make their way through the jungle of the 7-footers, like literally, and those tall weeds, and literally be able to find their way in through that to get the ball. Unless they're getting crazy bounces where it's going beyond the reach of the 7-footer, right? And it's getting into the perimeter where Alabama can get it. And if it's offensive rebound, then they can make something else happen. Or if it's a defensive rebound, they can turn around and convert it because they're good with the fast break conversion, right? And see, that's the thing about Duke and Alabama when it comes to the fast break. Like, both of them do well when it comes to fast break conversion. Both of them literally are converting 57% of their fast breaks. It's just that Alabama's converting 14 points versus Duke converting 12. Duke doesn't have to really be that though when it comes to fast break conversion because all they really need to do is just set up and run plays. They got Cooper Flag. Like, if you haven't watched this guy play, I don't really know what to tell you. Like, you have to see this guy play. He is a problem. You're not slowing him down. You're not fouling him out. He's way too good for that. Way too good for that. Mark Sears, good luck with trying to keep him in a box because this guy is the guy that started out before everybody else started doing threes. It was him. It was like he couldn't miss. I swear he could have almost closed his eyes and tried to make shots. It was that bad. Will he have a rabbit foot up his ass tonight? I don't know. Maybe. I hope so, especially if I jump out the porch and grab Alabama. I definitely hope he does, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. I think it's going to be a really competitive game. Everything is right here in front of us. Injuries aren't going to really be that big of a deal. But if Latrell Wrightsell plays, I think Duke is really going to have a problem. If he stays out and it's not game time decision, then Sears is going to have to do it by himself, along with the rest of his hardware. I think he got a chance. He got a chance, especially with a good coach. I don't know. Strap in. It's going to be a good game. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are done. All in all, it's going to be a great game tonight. I think everybody's going to enjoy from the entertainment value of it. I think those that are in the betting world, they are definitely going to enjoy it as well. Like I said, I'm not a betting channel. I'm not here to tell you what to bet on. If you find value in my analysis of the games and you want to use that to your advantage, knock yourself out. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not telling you like why you should do it. I'm just telling you what I think from what I'm looking at. And the same thing I'm looking at, I'm showing you. I'm not pulling this stuff out of my ass like some of these Houdinis out here that are like, yeah, take this team because I said so. Like, because you said so, that's not good enough. Why do you think that it's going to be this? I think you owe it to me to tell me why you think it is. So you're not like that dummy that I'm telling you about on covers that was like talking at the side of his damn neck. I don't think I can take you serious because of all of your grammatical errors. What are you talking about? Don't be that dummy, right? Don't be that dummy. Don't be ignorant like that and don't live a life of lies and hiding behind some facade and being some fake monk. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy the games. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you found value today in the show, please like, comment, share, or subscribe. And then if any of the suckers are probably on here, they're probably going to dislike it for the ratio, but that's cool too. Because while you're talking your smack, I'm catching my check. So that's cool. That's cool as well. But I wish you all the well. Hope you guys enjoy your Saturday. And I will see you on the next one.
Yeah, lights on, game time, let's break it all down. From the spreads to the lines, who's up, who's down. We're crunching the numbers, calling the plays, talking all sports in a big time way.